everyone, and welcome to Women Patriots on the Speaking Out Network here on Blog Talk Radio. We have a very special show planned for tonight. We have with us Karen and Billy Vaughn, who actually, and we've had them on before, but there were some technicalities with the distribution of the book they were writing, a book called Betrayed. It's a book about Extortion 17, and we're just gonna go ahead and bring them on. They're here. So, Karen, Billy, welcome to the show.
Hi,
thank you very much for having us.
Well, thank you for joining us. I want to get this message out to everybody. I read the book here just in the last couple of days, and I am just astounded, disgusted, and livid about what is going on with our military and the leadership. And so maybe, Billy, you could just kind of tell us more about your story, you and Karen. Just share with our listeners the story.
Yes, okay, thank you. And that is why we wrote the book, because I tell you what we believe is the American people will not stand for this. Congress has, either because they don't know what to do, they don't know what's going on. There are so many things coming down the pike from the Obama administration that they are overwhelmed, and Obama has made them practically irrelevant. But I have always believed, Karen and I have always believed, that the American people, if they have the facts laid before them about our military, they will not put up with this. Because the American people love and respect our military. If they read the book, they'll find out. The American people need to cry out and get these criminal rules of engagement changed that are causing our warriors to be unnecessarily sacrificed.
And speaking, can you share with us a little bit about those rules of engagement? Because many of our listeners may not know how restricted they actually have become.
Okay. Well, I'll just give you two. I'll give you two that happened that night. There was a 3.5-hour firefight going on, underway with Army Rangers and the Taliban, and the SEALs were called in. When the SEALs were called in, they flew into a hot landing zone without escorts in an antiquated helicopter, yet still no pre-assault fire was laid down for them to land. Pre-assault fire meaning fire just scattered out to make the enemy keep their head down, but that wasn't laid down because it's considered aggressive to the enemy. And then the second thing is when the chopper was actually shot out of the sky, even though the AC-130 Spectre gunship in the air, that crew and the crew of one of the two AH-64 Apache helicopters in the air saw where the RPGs were fired from. Neither of those crews took out the men who fired the RPG because, quote, by the military, this quote is by the military investigators, there might be friendlies in the building where the RPGs were fired from. So 30 brave, dead Americans lay on the ground while the men who fired the RPGs walked away. I tell you right now today that American police forces have more leverage to fire into a building where someone's being held hostage than our American warriors do, facing a savage enemy in Afghanistan because of the rules of engagement set forth by this commander-in-chief.
It was just amazing to me that, even though they actually saw these people who did it, they couldn't fire back on them, and that they saw them even before the helicopter landed, but they weren't allowed to shoot unless they were fired upon.
Right.
But not only that, what's even more insulting than that, if I can throw this in too, is what members of the air weapons team asked 2 separate times to take out the men who were gathering near the insertion point where the SEALs were going to come in. 2 different times they asked to take those men out, and 2 different times they were refused. They were told they couldn't take them out, even though they said there would be 0 collateral damage if they took them out. This is inexplicable, and it's stunning. And again, I want to reiterate what Billy said. Our point all along has not been what a lot of people think it is. This is not politically charged. It's not motivated by, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is an American issue, and it needs to be addressed. We need to start having a dialogue about what's happening to our warfighters in this current war, because the war is not over, and all of us know that it looks pretty imminent that we're going to be walking into some additional wars very quickly. And these same strategies, it appears, are going to follow us into those, because war now is about nation building, about making friends of our enemies, about working alongside countries for cooperation, making our troops work with dangerous troops from other nations who don't share our moral values or our integrity. So that's why we're speaking so firmly about this, and why we're refusing to shut up no matter what retribution we take, frankly.
Jude, did you have any questions, or have you met Karen and Billy? Am I guess Jude.
I haven't met them. I haven't met them in person, but I did. I am familiar with this story, and I find it. It's kind of hard to say, but when I'm, I've been writing about the problems of women in combat, now with Extortion 17, the way this government is treating its military. I mean, this is kind of like how to destroy the military in 4 easy steps. And when I'm around young folks who I've encountered who want to be Marines, for example, like I was, or are interested in joining the military, and I'm not alone in this, you got to say, don't do it. Don't do
exactly.
it. And it's heartbreaking, because the military, to me, it's one of the proudest things that I've ever done in my life. I know so many people who feel that way. Most people who join the military feel that way. And that it truly is the most diverse business that you could work at. The people and these people take so seriously. I know my commanders did. When I went to Iraq, I was
Jude?
Troop warfare. Troop welfare. So these things are so important, and the fact that they are being completely disregarded is just crushing to me.
And they want to take away more from our veterans. And I got to ask you this, Billy. The book originally was due to come out on the anniversary, 2-year anniversary. Why did that change? And I also noticed the title had changed.
Okay, what happened was, without getting into too much detail, Major General Paul Valley was helping me with the book. Mm-hmm. And along about that time, if you remember, there was a lot going on in Syria, and General Valley had to make a trip to Syria along about the time that we were finishing the book. And then because of the fact that he became involved in some things that were very sensitive, he felt the need to withdraw from the book, and I understand why. And so we had to do a lot more research. Karen and I did, and the ladies who are co-authors with me on the book had to do a lot more research so that I could write some of the things that we wanted in there that were coming from a military expert. I had to then do that research myself and add those things in that are additional to the facts that we found out about what happened to Aaron and about what happened that night. So that's why. So then it just took us several weeks longer to get that compiled and then to finish the story and get it published. So.
Okay, so the general was not being threatened in any way, because that was the first thought.
Not that we know of. Not that we know of. I can just answer you with what's come to me, you know,
right.
From him. So.
Right.
Okay. Now let me say this. There are people in political places, both in the military and in the administration, that do not want the facts of this book to come out. Not so much because they don't want to change this. Karen said this book is not political. It's not left or right, but there is absolutely a political agenda that is getting our warriors killed. And it's an agenda of appeasement toward the Muslim people, toward Islam, and towards the Islamic nations. And you know what? You don't have to read the story of Extortion 17 or Betrayed to see this. You can see it every day. The American citizen is financing the war fighters who go overseas to fight our wars. But at the same time, the moms and dads who are, and the wives and the husbands and the boys and girls, brothers and sisters, who are sending their loved one overseas to fight a savage enemy, are also financing Al-Qaeda in Syria, Al-Qaeda in Libya, the Muslim Brotherhood, who Al-Qaeda is an affiliate of, in Egypt, and all over the world. And at the same time, the American citizen is financing the people back home who set these horrendous criminal rules of engagement. And these rules of engagement, in many cases, if our warriors do come home, are being used to prosecute the men and the women who come home. So the American citizen is financing both ends, all corners of a war that's taking place over there, and it's just atrocious how the American citizen is being used, and it must be stopped. No, whatever the cost, it must be stopped.
Yeah, you know, I had just posted a story from Diane Story, who is one of the Lady Patriots, and the way Obama right now is in the Middle East with Iran and their nuclear weapons, the sanctions that are being lifted for them, it's again another betrayal on the American people.
Absolutely.
And you know, again, I thanked you last time for raising such a wonderful hero, a wonderful son, and I'm going to thank you again because he, you know, our soldiers, our military, for me, not being in the military ever, I just have the utmost respect, and I always did. My that's the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
My family, I was born during the Vietnam era, you know, and when they came home, that's all we did was, you know, we did the pledge. We always flew our flag. We were patriotic, not even knowing that we were, you know, not even realizing at the time how it meant, what it meant as we were really little, but growing up and knowing what it means to me today. You know, this is the great country. We do have the people, and all this administration wants to do is cut back and get rid of anybody who talks back to them.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. Yeah, Karen?
Everybody,
yes.
Everybody takes an oath when they go into the military.
Mm-hmm.
And those that want to uphold their oath are the ones that are getting fired.
That's absolutely right. The men who are loyal to the oath the men who are loyal to the Constitution, the men who are loyal to the war fighters beneath them, instead of being compliant to a tyrant in the White House, are being replaced. That's exactly what's happened. And you wonder why this is taking place. What really is going on here? And I'll tell you this, the biggest killing field for American warriors overseas is not overseas. The biggest killing field is being opened up in their rear in the continental United States in Washington, D.C. And the blood is pooling in the Oval Office. This is the man and his minions around him who need to be punished, who need to be replaced, to stop the needless killing that's taking place overseas so that our warriors can fight like they were trained to fight instead of winning the hearts and minds of a savage enemy.
Billy and Karen, this is Jude. Can you tell us something about the progress on the congressional hearing?
Karen?
Well, progress would be a nice word to hear. I'm not sure. Listen, Jude, it is stunning, as you all know very well, how many how we're just being bombarded with one thing after another, and Congress is under that bombardment, and so we find ourselves continuously being moved back on a list because this event happened in 2011, and there's things happening every day that that are in equal crisis in their minds. It's not in our minds, of course, because it's so personal to us and to the U.S. military. But we, just before the government shutdown, was the last time we had a conversation with somebody in Congress who is responsible for pursuing this House Oversight Committee hearing, and they told us at that time that the Extortion 17 hearing was third on the list, and I don't know where it is now. It's been chaos, in our government since that day, so I don't know where we are on the list now, but we're not giving up. But also, we will continue to pursue this, but also I just want people to know that Billy and I have never expected Congress to get anything done about this. In all reality, I respect the people who are trying, and I do think that it will bring more awareness to America as a whole when the facts about this case come out in a congressional hearing. But, we've never thrown our hope behind Congress. Our hope is in the American people. Our hope is in the people who want to see this country restored, who want to see it brought back to its roots. And included in those values is valuing our military war fighters. And so that's where our hope lies, in all honesty. But we do want the hearing. We do, and we're still pursuing that.
Absolutely. And how has the book reception been?
Well, so far we've had amazing, an amazing reception for the book. We did decide to go with self-publishing, which made it a little more complicated than had we, given the book to a large publisher. That was a choice we made intentionally. But I will say that even without that, we've been able to secure a lot of media coverage, with people like you. We're going to be speaking with David Webb tonight. We've been on the Wilcow television and radio program. We're going to be on Fox and Friends tomorrow morning. We're getting great reception, among conservative radio and television, of course. The other side, we have contacted NBC and have not heard anything back from them, but that was actually expected because they're not covering anything about the war. They're not covering anything about war fighters. They basically could care less. So that was completely anticipated. But we are getting great coverage among conservative television and radio, and that's been a tremendous blessing. Absolutely.
Let me just say this, adding to Karen, what Karen said about the coverage. I know you've heard the saying that figures don't lie, liars figure. And there's a lot of truth in that because NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, none of these people are saying anything about what's going on in Afghanistan. But an astounding figure that Karen has discovered, and this is a fact that can't be denied, it took 9 years in Afghanistan for America to reach the 1,000th death of American soldiers. In 2009, the COIN strategy was instituted by President Barack Obama, and it took 27 months for the second 1,000th death to occur. When President Bush was president, you know, the body bags were counted one by one as they came home from Afghanistan and Iraq. But nothing is said about the men, the women who are coming home to meet their families in a coffin under this president. And the numbers are staggering, and the numbers do not lie. These are not opinions. These are facts. And the American people need to know how many families across this land are being devastated by this man's criminal rules of engagement and his appeasement to the Muslim world. This man has created a compromise of confidence between the war fighters and their leaders in this country.
Yeah, and it was absolutely staggering, the numbers, you know, the 15,000 wounded under this president alone, and, you know, the media doesn't report this. The media is complicit.
It's very frustrating, and you know, this is what we want America to wake up to. I think that if Americans were made aware of these numbers, once again, I know I sound like a beating drum here, but if Americans were made aware of these numbers, I believe they would become engaged in the battle for our warfighters. Right now, our warfighters are at the mercy of a corrupt government, and we have got to do something as a nation. You know, Billy, very frequently when we talk across the country, anywhere we go and speak, Billy will say that, you know, on September 11th, 2001, big government was completely ineffective to stop one of 3 attacks on U.S. soil. But on Flight 93, you know, 40 regular citizens stood up, took their place in history, and they saved the Capitol. And, you know, that's what we're looking for again. We're looking for people to band together, citizens who love this country to come together and scream loud enough that something has to change, whether it's out of shame. You know, lots of times when dark things are brought to light, when they can no longer hide in the darkness, they're reconciled. And that's what we believe will happen if these criminal, negligent, treasonous rules of engagement are brought into the light. We don't believe they'll be able to stand in light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually, for our listeners out there, we can have some impact on that because as individuals, if we keep this story alive, but in addition to just posting and talking about the story and highlighting the numbers and the events that have happened, we can also, you know, go on those networks' Facebook pages, and I've seen that for another media guy, our friend Dennis Michael Lynch, who did a documentary called They Come to America. He's all over the United States, and he can't get much coverage from the mainstream media. He's just started to now, and what has happened is, like, when he's gotten a spot on Fox or something like that, he's made a pitch to folks, like, you know, go on their page and have them have me on again. And we can go on to, you know, these networks, whether it's CNN, NBC, ABC, and say, you need to highlight this story. And that's something that we as individuals can do to help promote the story and try to give it a voice.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Absolutely.
It was to my understanding that before the book came out, shortly after Aaron was killed, that you two were threatened. Your family was one of the families being threatened for speaking out.
We hadn't really been. I think that, in all honesty, threatened is a little bit strong. We've been asked not to speak out. We've been told not to speak out. We've been ostracized for speaking out by the leadership, some of the leadership in the military and in the Navy. But what do you expect? They want us. They want America to stay in the dark. And I'm not saying that some of these men are not good men. They are just men who maybe they don't have maybe they have the guts to take a gun and go for it. Well, actually, these men don't take guns. They're leaders. They don't have to take guns. They direct others to take guns and do things. But it takes real courage for a man to stand up when he's being ridiculed or when he's having his career threatened, as you pointed out earlier, is what would happen to them if they stood up to this. If they stood up to this regime in Washington, D.C. So I expect men and women in high places, even in the military, to want to put the hammer or the thumb on Karen and I for speaking out because it's going to mess up a good thing for them. And they're being rewarded heavily for helping the regime to achieve their goals of demoralizing America, demoralizing our military, of political correctness and diversity from shore to shore in all of our institutions and everywhere, and while at the same time making America weak, if not weak, at least perceived to be weak, and perception is the biggest percentage of what the world sees and what our enemies know about us. So.
Right. Yeah, they are weakening our military, and it's very scary. It's very scary. That's really the president's job. The main purpose of the president of the United States is to keep us safe, and he's not doing that.
Well, what would be good? What would be good? And I don't expect it to happen, but what would be good if there were men, and there have been 9 generals and admirals replaced recently by this administration. Right. But if there were men in the military in high places who would go into this White House, handcuff this president, Valerie Jarrett, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, lead them out. We need to take an example from Egypt. And it is sad for America to have to say that we need to follow Egypt's lead.
Right.
But get the criminals out of the White House. Get them out of the White House. Make them prove, like they do to the American people, make them prove that they are innocent and not complicit in the things that have taken place, like Fast and Furious, like Benghazi, like the shoot down of Extortion 17, like the things going on in Syria, and where we are arming Al-Qaeda. And like the IRS scandal, and like Obamacare. I mean, these things are being laughed about on the media, on late night talk shows, and they are funny. But the thing of it is, it's the life that you and I, as American people, are being forced to live under these people in the White House who do not love this country like the men and women who go and fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I had the utmost respect for our military. And you're right. I don't know if you know about the group Oath Keepers.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're actually, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the founder of that on our show. We're going to interview him because, as we discussed a few minutes ago, is some of them take the oath and live by it,
mm-hmm.
and stand up for it. And then there are those that I guess are afraid to speak out because they're not allowed, and they just do what they're told. And those are the brown coats. Those Hitler and regime all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's also, it's the same oath for the oath of office. So every single representative in the House is supposed to be an oath keeper. Right. But are they? Absolutely not. So we have some callers calling in. Brenda, do you want to introduce us?
We have Paula on the line who would just like to say hi to Karen and Billy. Paula, you're live.
Yes. Billy, Karen, it's Paula Smith. How are you?
Hi, Paula. How are you? This is Barbara.
Huh?
We met at Jamoki Park.
Yes, I recognized your picture. I said, I know that lady.
Paula, it's good to hear your laugh. I knew that.
Well, you're going to get plenty more in another week or whatever.
I know. I cannot wait.
And Billy, you are beautiful. Not like a girl, but you're beautiful in spirit. And Ben rags me for that one.
Thank you very much, Miss Paula. Can't wait to hug you.
You're welcome. I can't wait to get down there. And on a brighter note, I would love to put a shout out for Operation 300.
Well, thank you.
Which is
go right ahead.
Wonderful camp for the sons and now some daughters of fallen soldiers. And another shout out, Amazon wish list. We're on there too, Operation 300. Please give. That would be wonderful from Wilmington. You're welcome. I can't wait to see all those babies again.
They can't wait to see you, I'm sure. They love their Miss Paula, man.
And you're talking to a wonderful lady, Jude. She's a friend of mine, too, and has been for the past couple of years, and Ben and all of us here.
Yep,
I love you.
Fast family.
Yes, we are like family. And she's got such a cute husband. I told her 30 years ago I would have given her a chase for her money.
You kill me. I love it.
Well, we have to put sunshine in every day.
Absolutely.
We really do. We really
Absolutely.
do. Or too many things are going to get us down and drag us there. So
right.
Smile and happy all the time. And I'm going to hang up and let you take other serious questions. But
well, do you just want to stay and listen, right, Paula? Because I don't think they're out there on the air, so I'll just put you on mute. And thank you for listening in.
Okay, good.
Paula, thanks for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. I love all of you. This is wonderful hearing you from Wilmington. This is great. I mean, I watch you all the time, whenever you're on TV, but this is fun with Jude.
Thanks.
You all take care.
Thanks, Paula.
All right, Paula. We'll see you in a few days, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just for our listeners, you can get the book Betrayed at the website forourson.us. I believe it's available on Amazon, and if you just look up Betrayed by Billy Vaughn, you can find it. And you go to Operation 300. That is a really wonderful, wonderful thing. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit more about that and how you started that?
Karen, go ahead about Operation 300.
Well, what happened is Aaron has two sisters that are surviving, and Tara, our oldest daughter, was just 21 months younger than Aaron. They grew up as very best friends, did everything together, went through youth group together, had the same friends in high school. They maintained a beautiful relationship into adulthood and actually spent some really precious time together just before Aaron left on his final deployment. It made me cry. Just after Aaron died, one thing that we kept hearing his wife say is, just talking about how difficult it was going to be to teach her children to be like their father, without a male influence in their life, and it was a stressful thing for her. It still is, and that really stuck in Tara's heart. And not long after Aaron died, Tara began trying to come up with a way to honor her brother's life and make a difference. And the whole idea of Operation 300 was conceived in her mind, and bless her heart, the child walked away from a full-time job to pursue this, just trusting God that this is what she was supposed to do with her life. And you know, he has provided at every turn, and the camp is a tremendous success. The first camp, we're about to have our third camp. That's where Paula's going to see us the weekend after next. Our first camp, we had 10 little boys. Our second camp, we had 10 little boys, and Tara sent the email out to all the families that had come before saying, if you know anybody else who could utilize this camp, please share this email with them. And in 3 days, she had over 30 children who wanted to come to the camp. And,
wow.
You know, we couldn't invite everybody who wanted to come because we just don't have the resources for it. So we picked people by groups of family members in different criteria. And what we ended up with, the beautiful thing is we ended up with 5 or 7 young girls who are also going to be attending this camp. And we've opened it up. This will be our first time where we're reaching out to the young girls, too, whose fathers have died. So we've got, 21 little boys and 7 girls coming to this camp. So it is going to be full-out, crazy-time fun the weekend after next. We have the Gator Boys coming for the entire weekend to spend the weekend with the kids. And, you know, as tragic or as exciting as it is to say you have over 30 kids coming in, at the same time you realize when you get these requests that this is a tragedy and that this is so sad when you read their stories and you see that every one of them, you know, is another casualty of this war. And just to hear how their fathers died and the ages that the children are, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But what we're doing is we're making a difference in their lives, and we've had some tremendous comments from the children and the mothers alike. We bring the mothers in as well and put them up in a beachfront hotel so they can just kind of have a relaxing weekend while their kids are at the camp, but be close by in case the kids need anything. And you know, if you have any listeners out there who have big bucks, man, we need funding. We need facilities. We do all of this in camper trailers we pull in on a big old piece of property that's been lent to us by a very generous man in our community. But we need some facilities. We need some land of our own, and we certainly need some resources to come pouring in to keep this camp going. And God bless Tara for dreaming it up, for pursuing it, and for seeing it through. It's turning into something magnificent.
We already have 26 other kids that we had to turn down for this camp because we didn't have the resources, and so they're already in line for the next camp. So it's an ongoing thing. And as Karen said, and the stories are tragic, men and women dying for this country, and their kids need a father influence in their life. They need things that that their dads would have done with them, and that's what they do at the camp at Operation 300. So.
And how often is this camp? Is it yearly?
Well, we have them as often as the resources allow. We had one in April, we had one in August, and then we're having this one in November. And we had hoped to have another one in January. But the size of this camp has just absolutely just drained our resources just to get these kids and their moms here and have a camp. So it's right now it's questionable whether we'll be able to have the one in January or not. We're trusting in the Lord that the resources will come, and they have before. So the need is great. The need is absolutely great for it. And the kids come, just so you know, the kids come from all over the country. In the last camp, we had two boys come from as close as about 25 miles there in Florida. Their dad was killed in a helicopter crash in Iraq. And we had 3 little boys and their mom come all the way from Washington State. This time we have kids coming from at least 14 different states in our republic. So they come from all over the country. And it doesn't cost them a dime. So
that's awesome. I wish I had money to send. But I'm sure
for those who do, they should definitely go to Operation 300. It's operation300.com and go hit that donate button. And I was just looking at your Twitter page. We're going to help you get more of a presence, and that can really help.
That we do. Yes, that I can afford to do. I can give my time.
Okay, well, listen, ladies, I'm going to have to get off. I've got to get ready to go to another meeting tonight, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to leave you with Karen. I've got to get off and get myself ready. Thank you so much for having us on, okay?
Oh, thank you, and thank you for telling your story with us. I just can't thank you enough for raising such a honorable man.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you, ladies, for the work y'all are doing for our republic. It's very important that the word be spread. Thank you for being patriots.
And we are going to give away one of the books.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Appreciate your time. We thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
okay?
and I'm going to have to get off too. We're going to both have to leave here, so. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for your patriotism. Thank you for, staying up with the story of Extortion 17. And not only that, but the story of all the war fighters we still have out there right now who need their country to be behind them, who need us to understand what's happening to them on the battlefield. So we appreciate you doing that so much. And, Jude, I love reading your articles. You guys are amazing. All of you are powerful patriots, and we're so grateful.
Thank you so much for taking your time and coming on the show.